We spend far too much time worried about what makes us different than the next person or better than the next person, and not enough time thinking about why we should respect the next person. We all have a story, an overarching theme that runs through our lives and makes us who we are. The problem is, we think that since each of our stories is different, there's not a lot of perceived value or shared struggle. But we have far more in common than we can imagine, and what motivates one person can certainly help us as well. The Third Lap podcast is about understanding, respecting, and appreciating the struggle that it takes to overcome immeasurable odds in order to reach your destiny. Join me as I interview and bond with some of the most inspiring and incredible people, diving into their why to get a full understanding of their being. Without each other, we have nothing. So let's go on this adventure together and take on the future with open minds and open hearts. Welcome to the Third Lap podcast. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Third Lap podcast. This is your host, as always, Mal Davis. Really excited today. As always, I'm always excited, man, because I always get a chance to talk to really amazing and influential people. But today I get a chance to talk to Mr. Leonard Weaver, former Seattle Seahawk and also Philadelphia Eagle, and currently the head coach at Park Vista Community High School. Coach Weaver, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. It's a pleasure and an honor to be a part, man. It's a blessing.
Absolutely. And so, how we know each other. Well, as an Eagles fan, I mean, who doesn't know Leonard Weaver, right? He was you definitely were a heck of a player for us, man. You had a chance to really do some things for the fullback position that I feel like, Mike Allstott, like it was a couple other people that really sort of put the position on the map and show how versatile fullbacks could be. But yeah, man, it was a pleasure watching you as an Eagle. And so know you from there. And then we connected on Twitter. I started following you. You started following me back not too long afterwards, and I got a chance to see just you sharing information about your head coaching journey as of right now in high school. But yeah, man, as an Eagles fan, it's sort of hard not to know who you are. So, anything you want to add about potentially how we know each other?
Oh man, no, I mean you pretty much hit it in a nutshell. For all the people that do reach out on Twitter and Facebook, and you may not get a response,
Yeah.
I have been, sometimes tough for me to do it because usually I just post. My wife has been on me, guys. She's been busting my chop about making sure I respond back. But I'm definitely gonna do that, man. I really enjoyed it. I when you sent out the response, I saw it. Of course, did a little recon myself, and I thought it would be interesting, Miles, to come on with you, man. And for me, it's all about giving back and trying to help people get to the next level and whatever they're trying to do, man. And I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to link up with you, man, because you seem like a great, interesting individual and have a lot of great things ahead of you, man. So this is a blessing and an honor.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. My wife is on me the same way about being better with social media, especially with
Yeah,
the podcast. You have to be responsive to folks. And so, again, I really
that's
appreciate you getting back to me and being just open to having this conversation with me today. And so, this is the
absolutely.
Rep Your Hood section, Coach Weaver. And so, what hood you repping?
Oh man, Egali, Florida, baby, all day. EG. That's how we do it.
That's what's up. And so, for folks that don't know where that is, where's that located in Florida?
And that's going to be located in Melbourne, Palm Bay / Vieira area down in South Florida, more like Central Florida, a little bit
Yeah.
below the Orlando area. So between Orlando and Lake Wales, Florida.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know where it is. I actually went to Full Sail University. So I went to school for 2 years out there in Orlando, Winter Park. So I know about Melbourne. I know about the football that gets played down there. Y'all take that real
Absolutely.
serious, man.
Yeah, no, it's grown, and man, it's really grown over the years, especially since I played. The amount of talent that's coming out of there, I know for myself. Wilbert Marshall, some of the older cats that came out that set the tone for us.
Yeah.
To Joe Cohen, Reggie Nelson. It's a lot of great players coming out of the area.
Awesome. And so have you lived or, really been anywhere else that was sort of influential on like your pathway, your life, your career, or any other places, cities you want to shout out?
No, absolutely. I would shout out right now Jefferson City, Tennessee, man. That's where I went to school at Carson Newman College.
Yep.
That place there, the people that I was able to meet really changed my life. High school down in South Florida, Satellite Beach High School on the beach side. That was a great experience as well. And then just growing up, in the Galley. really taught me and it's kind of embedded who I am and where I've come from, and has played a major role in my life and being a part of it. So, and then of course, I always want to give a shout out to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm always going to do that. Who's a big part of my life as well. But
Yeah.
but yeah, man, those places definitely played a huge part. Shout out to Philly.
Yes, sir.
The love, baby, that you guys have shown me. I'm not going to forget that. And, up there in Seattle as well, man. It's everywhere I've been, man. It's been a blessing to meet great people such as yourself and others out there, man. And the support from all of those places have been tremendously great.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And so this is our chance to really dive into your story, Coach Weaver, and really get a chance to sort of get into the meat of the podcast. And so, yeah, I mean, feel free to start us off wherever you want. I would say most people start probably high school going into college, or college going into like their professional career. But it's really up to you, where do you feel like your story begins?
Oh, man. I mean, I could start as a kid, but I won't. I know for time's sake, but I'll start at high school. For me, I went to a predominantly white high school over on the beach side, Satellite Beach High School, a place where I met some amazing people that were very helpful and influential in me really choosing football, to be honest with you. I didn't even choose football. From a young age, I didn't really like football. I didn't like the contact, man. I was like, man, this is for the birds, forget all this crazy stuff. But somebody convinced me. There was a coach on campus, and his name was Ronald Shaw. There's another coach by the name of Roger Dixon. These coaches were not like the coaches of today. Man, they pulled me aside, gave me a couple elbows to the stomach, to the chest, stuff that was probably illegal today. They was like, get your butt out to this football field. You're going to play football. And from there, it kind of stuck ever since. And it really helped me also, deal with a lot of issues in terms of myself, being able to get out there and hit people physically and do things. So it really started shaping more my mindset and how I thought about myself, confidence, and those different things. But from there, man, I chose football full time. While I was in high school, I also participated in basketball. I ran track. And I also play a little baseball as well. So I was kind of one of those quad sport athletes, and met a lot of amazing people there. I didn't really understand the effectiveness of football in high school and the impact it had until I actually went to league, but had an opportunity to go to college from there. I did get recruited. One of my top schools that I liked was not on the list and didn't come see me. So forget you guys. I'm not going to say your name, but forget you guys. Ha ha ha. Look at what I did. No, but I was being recruited pretty heavily. I had some pretty good success at the running back position. And, in South Florida back in those days, we had some great running backs and some great talent. But I had an opportunity to go to Carson Newman College from there. A guy by the name of Mike Davis, who coached at Palm Bay High School, which is in the same county in Brevard, where I went to school, had made about it. He would always come back once he got a college job to recruit in the local area. And they gave me an opportunity to be able to come play at Carson Newman. Florida was recruiting me. I remember Steve Spurrier because he was there at that time. He would send me letters and give me an opportunity to come visit. And on game day, that was also a blessing, man, to have my dad and get those tickets. He was using me. Dad, I love you, but you was using me for the tickets because he's a Gators fan. He's just terrible. But no, man, I had a chance to go meet up with Spurrier, especially as I ended towards my career. I thought I had a decent high school career. Didn't go to any camps. I didn't have the formal training. I was just an athlete out there just trying to make plays. Met him, and he came, and I'm gonna tell you, this is probably one of the most pivotal things that I experienced in high school from a coach that have shaped my life today. Steve Spurrier was so upfront. I had a chance to meet him face to face. Usually when you get recruited by them, they, you bring you in, they feed you, and then you get a chance to meet and talk with them. And I'll never forget the conversation he had. This changed my thought process about, what I was as a player, how he saw me as a coach going to the collegiate level, and the level that he thought I could play at. It made me make a decision, and it changed my life. He told me straight to my face. He said, Leonard, I don't see you coming here playing right away. He says, and I also don't see you playing running back. Just straightforward, not even smiling about it. He says, son, you're not a running back. He says, but I see you as a strong safety. He says, but I wouldn't play you your first year. You're just not as good as some of the talent that we have. Man, when he said that, he's saying this in front of my dad. You can imagine kind of hearing this from him, but he says, you're not as good as some of the talent that we have here, and you're not going to be able to compete because you're not ready. He says, but we can bring you in as a red shirt, let you learn the system, teach you the system, get you in the weight room. He says, and I guarantee you'll be able to compete the following year. As a young player, not knowing how the process in college worked and stuff like that, I was offended. I was like, slap Steve, what? He don't know me, I felt some type of way when I left that day, man. I was like, Steve don't know me like that. We ain't best friends, like Steve, I'm about to knock Steve. Anyway, I remember sitting at the game. It was a Kentucky game. I don't know if you remember the quarterback, Lorenzen was the quarterback. I watched that whole game. Marquand Manuel was my favorite player. And I remember watching that game and I just kept thinking about this conversation and it changed my life and it made me think. I hadn't had nobody be that honest with me, but at the same time, be that kind to give me an opportunity to better me. But instead of my looking at it that way, I got offended because of what I had already done at that moment. And maybe this can help young players out in high school today. Any situation you go into with any college, be careful who's feeding you your information and listen, because the college coaches know what they're looking for and they know and they see potential in certain players and they know what they're trying to do. So if a coach is going to be very honest with you about your talent and ability, make sure you listen and take real good note of what they're saying and evaluate yourself from inside so that it can make you a better player. Well, that information helped me greatly because Mike Davis, who I spoke about earlier, ended up recruiting me at Carson Newman, brought me to Carson Newman. I wasn't on any scholarship, man. That was the other thing. I never got a scholarship from Carson Newman College. But I went up there as a walk-on. I chose not to go to Florida, which, oh my goodness, what was I smoking, right? I'm in Florida. I get in-state tuition paid for. What was I smoking? I didn't go to Carson Newman College, but clearly the Lord had other plans for me, man. And I had to all believe this is all leading to the Lord. But I go to Carson Newman. And I have the worst experience of my life. I've never experienced training camp. So leaving high school where you're the man, you're the big fish in the little pond. Then Steve Spurrier tells you pretty much that you're nothing your first year. If you come to college, you're going to have to recruit, get you better. Going to Carson Newman, because out of my offense, now I'm bothered. I don't want to speak to nobody, to going to Carson Newman College. That's my journey. And through that process, I learned a lot about myself as a young man. Go to Carson Newman and Ken Sparks introduces me to the 3 days of what they like to call Hell Week or Hell Camp, whatever you want to call it. I don't give a crap what people say. It was tough, man. We had 3 days, 4 pads each practice for 3 days. It was for 2.5, 3 weeks. I promise you, man. I can't compare it to war. I don't know what I could compare it to help people understand. But when you're going through 3 days, 4 pads each practice, your brain begins to think stuff is happening that's not happening. I thought I saw hamburgers on the football field. I thought I started seeing people having conversation with myself. I thought I started seeing people. Man, at night, I'm crying like, what did I get myself into? But glory to God, man, all of that became really a part of my story and my journey. And it created me into the man that I am today. And it prepared me for the next step of my life. Over my college career, they changed me as they recruited me as a linebacker. They changed me over to tight end. And that's when things began to take off. I wasn't a tight end, never played tight end. But the change, once again, prepped something about me in my life, man. Changed me completely. I went from being a running back and doing everything in high school to a linebacker in a 3-4 defense that I never played in. To then the spring of my sophomore year, they're saying out of the blue, we're going to put you tight end and then you got to gain, 30 pounds. So at this time, I'm 230. Over the summer or over the spring going into the summer, I bulk up. I get on this stuff back in the day called Nitro Tech and Cell Tech. I don't even know if this is legal anymore, but it was protein and creatine, okay? Look, I'm like trying to get the starting position because I'm like, I got to get out of here. This is not for me. This life is not for me. So while I'm here, I'm going to do what I can to beat people up, get big, and then I'm going to leave because I can't do this, And the crazy part about it, in the back of my head, I thought I was a basketball player. So, I got these also crazy thoughts that I'm going to try for the basketball team too, because I did 4 sports in high school. I know I could do this in college. This is just pie, And the basketball coach, Coach Clayton, shut me down real quickly. He said, no, you're not. You're just not as good. So anyways, man, just going through a whole bunch of hurt and pain. But I use that as fuel to get myself better. But anyway, I gained the 30 pounds going into my sophomore season. I'm sorry, from my freshman to my sophomore season. And I compete for the starting position of 3 seniors there. I get my first catch from our quarterback at the time, Leonard Weaver. Each step that I'm taking you through has been a significant part of building up who I am. I was a kid that didn't really have much confidence. I had moved around. I felt like I could adapt to different things. But what I was doing was I wasn't really taking hold of the messages and the different lessons within those things until I'm here now. And so this message for all those people that are listening, man, while you're in the moment, take heed to the message that's being sent to you, because everything that's happening in your life is not necessarily happening for a bad reason or to make you feel even worse. A lot of things I believe are happening to encourage you and to show you where you are and to make you do a self-examination portion of your life so that you can better yourself. Because in our lives, man, we want to get better and better and better. Nobody wants to digress. Nobody wants to go backwards. We all want to go forward. And I believe that part in my life, man, and everything that has happened has always been to help me progress. During those years of my sophomore year, I made the transition. I was able to compete. I did not become the starter until my junior year, but it all became through my college years, time of self-examination. Who are you, Leonard, for real? What are you really about? Do you have this attitude? Do you have the grit? Do you have the grind to do what it takes to become the best? And I developed this hunger behind the work. I started realizing that the work ethic that I started to develop and the relationships I started to develop, they were all about sharpening my life and sharpening me as a person. And when that transition happened and I realized it more today than then, but I realized what was happening, my career kind of took off. I went from the sophomore guy who gained the weight, got big, and man, I had a six pack. I was swole. You hear me, man? I was Doc. I was that guy. You know what I'm talking about? I could have been Abercrombie Finch model, bro. You know what I'm saying? I had it going, Doc. But no, let me stop. I'm just having fun. But I made the transition, man. It ended up becoming the start of my junior year, beating up 2 seniors that year. Had a great year. And then all of a sudden, man, my senior year going into the spring, I get a knock on my door in my classroom. And it's the New York Giants scout. And he says, listen, we want to speak to you. And I'm like, for what? There is no way you guys are coming to talk to me. And he's like, no, seriously. I'm in psychology class. He's like, no, we want to speak to you. I'm like, dude, I don't got time for games. I'm in psychology class. I'm failing. I got to get my life together, okay? I don't know what the crap is going on, but this is a prank. Stop it. Like, we got to stop this. This is crazy. And he's like, no, man, let's take you down to this meeting room. We got to talk to you. So he has the Giants thing on. I mean, big, tall guy, glasses, black guy. And I'm like, all right, if this is a prank by some of the players, bro, we about to have it out today. He takes me down to the room and we start watching the film and he's trying to figure out my knowledge of the game, and he's taking me through the process. And I had not realized it. Before I know it, the Seattle Seahawks scout walk in, Green Bay Packers scout walk in. And so now we're having this meeting. And at this particular point in my life, I had never thought about going to the NFL. NFL never crossed my mind, man. I'm gonna be straight up with you. It never crossed my mind that I had even got this type of attention, that I was even on this radar of recruiters or scouts of the NFL, because I felt like I was an NBA player. NBA, you turn me down. And I don't appreciate it just because I'm 6 foot, 265, just because I'm a little short, fat guy. Don't mean I can't, okay? All you NBA players, man, y'all ain't help a brother out. It's messed up. But anyway. It became real to me that the NFL would be an opportunity. And so, from there, they took me out to the weight room there at Carson Newman and tested my, 40. I mean, not my 40, my bench press, which I'm gonna be honest with you, man, it was terrible. It was the worst test that I'd never been through, nothing like that. I had a big chest, but it wasn't strong. Don't let people fool you. I was big and sexy, but I wasn't strong, Oh, man. But I ended up testing pretty good. I'm just having some fun here. But I tested decent, and we went out to the field. And that's probably what I think set me apart. But anyway, at that particular point when we left, it became very real to me that, oh man, this might be an opportunity. Now, I come back into the same role. Okay, Steve Spurrier tells me about myself. He basically says, Leonard, you stink right now. We need to develop you. The scouts pretty much tell me the same thing. Leonard, you're a D1 player. You guys don't really play in front of nobody. We're not even sure if you can handle the pressure of playing in front of 70,000 people. However, they said, but, you do have some ability that we think you can actually come and compete at the next level. They left me with this. They said, but Leonard, if you do come, you're not going to ever be drafted, but you will come as a free agent. And at that point, I remember the message that Steve gave me to that point. And what they were saying is, it's about opportunity. Leonard, make the best of your opportunity. If the Lord is going to open the door, then you bust that mug down, you know? And I remember the conversation, and it literally translated to that for me. And so maybe this can help somebody out there that, you know, just because you get rejected or just because people don't think that you qualify or meet their qualifications, don't get down, don't get out. You know, if they say no, 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 you keep going until you get a yes. And even if you don't get the type of yes that you want, look at it as an opportunity to as a door that's going to open for you so that you can walk into your opportunity. And man, when they told me that, I kind of took off from there. I got into training full-time mode. You know, shortly after that, I met my first agent. His name was Chad Speck of Allegiant Management. And, you know, we got through the door, and, you know, I just went full-fledged, man. And I think, you know, I thank the Lord for this opportunity because, you know, man, if that had not been there, if the Lord had not opened that door, I wouldn't even be where I am having this conversation with you.
Hey everybody, so I have some really exciting news. The Third Lab podcast is actually expanding, and so I'm in the process of putting together a co-authored book called The Third Lab, Transformational Stories of Life Experiences That Make Us Better. And this is a great opportunity for anyone that's looking to get published for the first time, or if you've been published before, this is a great opportunity to, well, not have to write a whole book yourself. And so if you're interested in learning more about the product, the program, the opportunity, feel free to reach out to me at maldavis21@gmail.com, or feel free to reach out to me through the socials for The Third Lab. Really excited about this program, really excited about this opportunity, and really excited for you all to come and join me. So again, if you have any questions, want to learn more, feel free to reach out to me at any time. Each one, teach one. We all learn together. Peace.
And so from there, man, my career to the NFL kind of took off. I got an opportunity to go to the Seattle Seahawks camp where I saw guys that I just couldn't believe. I was like, you know, I'm not really a starstruck guy, but you know, when I walked through the locker room, it kind of became a little surreal to me a little bit. I saw, you know, Marcus Trufant was the first person I met, and I'm, you know, he's short. I was like, oh, I'll crush him. Like he's nobody. Like I'll crush this guy. but then you run into Walter Jones, and you're like, I need to be his friend. Whatever I got to give him, I'm gonna make sure he has, because I need to make sure he's on my side. I don't want to, you know. And then you meet Sean Alexander and then Max Strong, and so to be in the locker room and having the opportunity as a free agent to go compete in minicamp after they had drafted a few guys, it still really didn't become real to me, but it showed me that the opportunity the Lord was giving me was something that I should be thankful for. And from there, I ran into a fantastic group of guys. I was in the running back room with Sean Alexander, Max Strong, Mo Morris. You know, we had some great guys in the room. My running back coach was Stump Mitchell. By the way, Stump is probably one of the most honest people that you could ever talk to. I mean, he's just blunt, straight to the point, like to go take a shower because you stink. You know, don't ever come out here doing that crap again. Like he was real, just straightforward and honest, but he's the reason for the jump start of my career in terms of bettering me. He saw my weaknesses. He saw the things that I need to get better at. And when he took that part of, you know, of my life as far as coaching me and instructing me, I fell in love with the game. I fell in love with the instructional part of being a coach even more, which kind of spiraled me. So my first year, we go to the Super Bowl, have the greatest experience of my life. We lose to Pittsburgh. Dang you, Jerome Bennis. Okay, freaking storylines. You guys lied. Okay, we all know we won that Super Bowl. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want nobody to write me no letter. And you know, anyways, no, but we lost the Super Bowl, and so we go into our second year, man, and I get into coaching. I get hurt in the spring or the preseason of 2006, and which is my second year in the league. And the passion that Stump coached me with made me feed into it. So I go to see an old guy, and I don't even know, Mal, if you know his name or know this guy, but his name is Terry Metcalf. Do you remember Terry Metcalf? Terry Metcalf was the head coach of Renton High School. Once I had my injury, I said, man, I love what Stump does. I want to go kick people's butt like that. I want to tell the kids that they suck. And I want to tell the kids that they're no good. You get yourself together, take a shower. I want that kind of, no, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't tell the kids that. But I go over to Renton High School, man, and Terry gives me a shot to be the not offense coordinator, the special teams coordinator. And I coached him for a season, changed my life. Changed my life completely. I got a chance to work with the inner city youth, and from there, my life took off with not my life, but the opportunity to work with kids took off. And from that point, playing in Seattle, embedding myself in the community, being with those kids really helped me. So that whole transition into the league, man, really transpired to help me be who I am. And of course, the rest of the NFL career is what it is. NFL All-Pro, I was able to do some things, end up going to the greatest city out there in Philadelphia, being a part of that team and competing and really, loving on the city as they love me back. And the rest is pretty much history, man. So I hope I didn't take too long.
That was a heck of a story. I mean, I love what you mentioned about Steve Spurrier, right? Like being the first person to be honest with you. And that's something that I feel like we need a lot more of, especially with like our high school athletes, superstars, kids that are doing it all well. People are afraid a lot of times to tell them the truth, right? Like people are afraid a lot of times to sort of present them with the challenges. And I also liked your authentic response to that information, which was like, Steve don't know me like that, man. Like, who is he to be telling me, who is he to be telling me this stuff?
That's right.
And so,
That's right, man.
You really laid out for us your journey from that high school athlete to Carson Newman having to switch positions, and then into the NFL. And so, you mentioned that ankle injury and having to sort of take a second and take a break and being able to coach. When you made that transition from the starting position, right? Like not even starting, but playing for Seattle, having that year off. Did you realize at that point, you mentioned Stump, like, did you realize that you were always going to go into coaching? Was that something at that point you were like, that's absolutely, once I'm done with the game, I know I want to get into? And if so, why? Why coaching? What about coaching really like met with or jive with your personality, but also like your mission in life and your legacy?
No, man, no question. Coaching at Renton High School, like I said, it changed my life and really pushed me into coaching. It's something about when you can influence a kid who is sitting there looking at you. They just saw you on TV Sunday, and you go out to that field Monday, and they're looking at you because they want to be there. And so when you see that kid look at you and they're it's a football player, and every coach recognizes in each football player, there's a hunger and a desired look of a player who wants to be great. And then there's the players that are kind of in between who don't know if they want to be great, but they love playing the game. And then you got those players out there who's just out there who like, hey, I'm just here to have fun with my friends. And then you got the ones who just don't care. The part that changed me is getting all of those minds to come together to accomplish the goal. And then being able to invade their personal space by getting to know them. What makes them tick? What makes them move? And then allowing them to open up. Those things right there in that combination to let a kid tell you about their life and to trust you enough. And that's really what it's about. For someone to open their life to you and be as transparent. And I really believe in being transparent, even with my players now. I can't shoot them a lie. I feel like I can't build them up effectively if I don't give them the truth, because their lives should be based on the truth. If the foundation of what you do is based on the truth, then when you build up, it will never fall, no matter what happens. And so that part of coaching was the game changer. It wasn't even about football. It was about impacting the lives of these young men to make the right decision and to want the right information to make the right decision. Because the area of Renton at that time was one of the most crime-ridden places in Seattle. And the school Renton was not a safe place to be. And the young men that we got a chance to work with were young men who were in the streets. They were young men who was making decisions based off of their lifestyle. And the only thing they had was football. But when they left, for me, man, when I saw these kids, we had a young man I'll never forget to this day. Troubled young man. His name, we called him Irby. This young man, I mean, when I'm hardcore, I'm talking about hard. He walked through the hallway, people move. It was like Moses parting the Red Sea. Like, he was one of these dudes that was just bad, like tough, like I don't care. And man, I got a chance to really spend quality time with him. And he started out as a kid that didn't have grades to almost a straight A student. He played in college ball, never thought he would go. And to hear him call back and say, Coach, sometimes, I get a little choked up about it, because to hear a kid tell you that you impacted their life, man, it made me just be like, wow, this is way beyond the game. And that drove me to the game even more. And I realized why Stump did it. Yeah, it's a business, but you're impacting people to better themselves. You're pouring confidence into them. You're showing them that they can be trusted. These are things that people need in their lives every single day. Even as a CEO and a business owner, right? You got employees that work for you. Nobody wants to really work for somebody. And some people are in situations where they have to, but you don't want to really work for nobody who don't care for you. You know what I'm saying? Who don't validate you every now and then and tell you how important your efforts are to why their business is being successful. Every person wants to experience that. And I get to do that on a day-to-day basis with kids. And, I get to break them down too. No, that stinks. We're not going to do that. I don't think that's a good direction to go. You're going to go this way because that's wrong. And to watch them go through the transformation of life while they feel a certain way. You're teaching them how to face adversity. You're teaching them how to confront their issues. And then you're teaching them how to deal with it. And all these things translate over into them being better men to their wives, better husbands, better fathers, better brothers, better sons. And to me, that affects not only your inner circle, but then it starts to affect the community. And then from the community, it starts affecting the areas that you are. And then before you know it, the state and the country. And so that dynamic in itself, to me, is what drives me. Now, as far as the football coach, Leonard Weaver, who's rough and tough, I love X's and O's, man. I love trying to figure out what you're doing. I love scheming. I love trying to figure out how I'm going to beat you. And then I'm going to tell you why I beat you, because I realize how I beat you, You need to correct this because you stink at it, So I love every bit of that, man. I love the coaching portion of it, putting the X's and O's together, installing offense, installing defense, taking the knowledge that I've gained from some of the great coaches like Mike Holmgren and Andy Reid and some of the great players I've been around. And I feel like it's my duty as a coach to give that back. I don't think I should go to my grave, this wealth of knowledge of the experience of the NFL, of college, recruiting, and just selfishly keep it. It's for me to give back. It's wisdom that I believe that the Lord has given me to give back, to give these kids instruction, to give them foresight, to show them that there's a better way and this is the correct way. And if you do it this way, it'll work, So all those things are why I do it, how I started doing it, and why I'm gonna keep on doing it.
Yeah, Coach Weaver. And so I wanted to take a step back for a second because you had mentioned adversity. And so, you had a great year, 2009 All-Pro season, right? Going into 2010. I think everybody was like, yo, Leonard Weaver is about to run crazy. Like it's over. It's, so 2010 is going to be the coming out party. And then unfortunately, you suffered that knee injury like really early on in that year. And so I really want to hear sort of how, and you being a man of faith, you being a person that perseveres, and like you said, you learn from life examples to be able to sort of help other people get over those humps. How were you able to really take that injury, which was significant and ultimately, unfortunately, like ended your career? What did you take away from that? And then ultimately, how has that helped you again to become a better man, better coach, better person, like you mentioned?
When it first happened, it really hit me hard. But when I look at it back in, from this point, looking back on it, I've learned a lot from it. Number one, that, when that injury did happen, it tested, number one, my faith and my belief in Jesus and my Lord and Savior, first of all, because it's easy to take a situation like that you've been doing so good and being so successful, right? And then all of a sudden bad happens. And then it's like, well, where is he? Why isn't he here? Why did this happen? And it really made me question my faith. sorry about that, not question my faith, but really dig down deep into my faith on what I believed. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it did push me away. It pushed me away because it made me question, why would God let this bad thing happen to me when so many good things are going on? And for the next few years of my life, I kind of spun out of control, to be honest with you, because I was hurt. I didn't deal with the adversity good. I really didn't. I didn't deal with the pain good. I felt like my life had literally been stripped. I felt like I had nothing because I had poured so much of my life into football. It was tough, man. It was tough. I made a lot of bad decisions after that injury. It really affected how I saw life, to be honest with you, because all I knew was football, going to work, having fun, playing the game that I love, and it was suddenly taken from me. But after a few years of kind of soul searching, man, I went back to what I love to do, which was coaching football. And from there, my life started to kind of take a new shape and get me back to where I had felt, good about what I was doing. But I realized even in feeling good that I still had not dealt and faced the adversity of what I was feeling. And I would say about 5 years later, I had to actually forgive myself and ask God for forgiveness for blaming the situation on him, but more so on why it happened. And there were just a lot of different things that was going on in my life at the time. And I think it's really good that it happened. It stopped me from doing certain things that I probably would have done that didn't need to be done. And it really made me examine. It took me back to self-examination. Leonard, what kind of person were you showing people and what kind of person you were? I was living two different lives, to be honest with you and be very candid. And what people saw really was what they saw, but that really is not who I was. Does that make sense to you? Like I was, and I think it's unfair as a person who's being held responsible for people believing in you, people trusting you, people showing and expressing their life in you because of what you do. And I hit a wall where the game that I still loved, but the person that I was becoming was affecting the dad in me. It was affecting the athlete, and it's almost like I broke up with several different people, but it challenged me. 5 years later, it really challenged me to examine what I was doing, where I was in my life, and I was in a terrible place. And I'm glad that adversity happened because I don't think I would have ever had a chance. I don't think the Lord, would have ever allowed me to see it if that had not happened. And I don't think I would be where I am today, honestly, as a head football coach, married to an awesome wife, beautiful kids. I don't think I would be here, man, honestly. And this is me being very candid with you. If that injury had not happened, and the way I had to face it was facing the honest truth about the man that I had become with all the praises. I lost sight, man. When you get the praises and you're constantly congratulated and you're constantly, praised, it begins to blow your head up a little bit. Okay, for me, it was a whole lot. My head was swole, you hear me? And you start to take on this persona that you're something that you're really not. And that's what began to happen to me. I became somebody that I wasn't. And it's not those people's fault. It's my fault. It's my fault because I took on this thing that I thought they wanted me to be because of my own insecurities and because of the type of person that I thought I was trying to be. And that's not who I was. I got away. So what I'm saying is, for all those people that are listening and for all those athletes that are listening, stay grounded in who you are from the time that you start to the time that you finish. Never ever change or waver in who you are as a young man or a young woman because of the people. And surround yourself around people who are not yes men, but surround yourself around people who are going to be honest with you about the decisions you're making, about what you're doing, and about who you're becoming. Because we all need people in our lives that's going to help keep us grounded. And for me, I didn't have that. I didn't want it because I felt like I was above everything. And so with that being said, the adversity, the way that I faced it was through that the hardcore injury, but also I faced it late, and most people don't get that opportunity. But when I faced it, I had to face it by looking at the truth of why, the truth of who I had become. And it made me self-examine myself. And from there, I was able to go through this little cleansing process and come back, to who I really was and what I really wanted to do in life. And that's helped people grow spiritually. That's helped people grow, mentally, and that's helped people grow in whatever area that they choose to. So it was tough, but that's how I came along. I hope that was good enough for you. I know it was a little, I try not to ramble too much, but that's how I was able to face it.
Hey, so I'm really excited to announce the first ever advertiser for the Third Lab podcast. And of course, it's the homie Teddy Gandy and his team from Blacks Apparel. Blacks is a clothing company that focuses on Black reality, both past and present. They share daily Blacks or Black facts, quotes, and content regarding Black reality through their social media. So stop by the store at blacks.com. That's BLACTS.com to check out the Blacks basic tees and all of their inventory. Blacks also uses its platform to collaborate with local artists, so keep an eye out for their limited edition tees and apparel. Make sure to use the promo code THIRDLAP for 10% off your first purchase. I mean, really, what you waiting for? Get the blacks.com, Third Lap, for 10% off your first purchase. Support the homie Teddy, support the podcast. Let's go.
No, that was amazing. And the fact that you were 28 when it happened, right? So like you were young. I think that a lot of times when we look at athletes and we like, oh man, nah, wait, 28. Like I remember me being 28. I ain't have nothing going on in my life. And so, you playing in the NFL, you at the highest stage. And so it makes sense that, you were in a position where, and I think we default to having people around us in those types of situations that tell us what we want to hear, right? Like that's how that cater to our ego, and I learned really early on that your ego could be a downfall really quickly, especially when you have folks not being honest with you. And so, you were able to parlay what was a catastrophic injury into an entirely different career, but also an awakening, right? Like a reckoning moment for yourself. And that's what the Third Lap is all about. Like life is not perfect. We're going to go through things. We're going to face difficulties and adversity. How do we deal with it to become better on the next go round? And so, the fact that you were able to, and what you mentioned about forgiving yourself and forgiving God, my therapist told me that. I had a session with him, shouts out Omar, and he told me I had to forgive the previous iterations of myself because they helped me survive to get to where I am. And when he told me that, I had to sit with that for like 3 days, man. I couldn't figure it out. I had to sit with it. But I'm going through that process now because it is important that we forgive ourselves and forgive those who trespass against us, right? Like how it goes.
Look, man, you saying it right, bro. And we forgive those others. We forgive those others, man. We forgive those who have hurt us, who have come against us, man. And you saying it right. I think honestly, that's a lot of the reason why we do have certain diseases and stresses and different things in our lives, man, because we try to hold on to those things and we try to harbor them. And what they end up doing, they end up hurting us more than they end up hurting another person. And man, if like your therapist said, to release that stuff, it's not only therapeutic for you, but man, it's therapeutic for everybody in your household. Because when you're walking around, you got all that stuff on. Your wife, you feel it, your kids be feeling it, your uncle and mama, and they're like, why are you so mad? You're like, man, I'm just, I'm dealing, this is me, and to release that, man, I think is very important. And I'm glad you said that because you're right. I had to forgive myself. I had a lot of people that I had to forgive, honestly. And I think a lot of that pent up anger that it ended up turning into, man, really ended up being devastating to me. And like I said, if that injury had not happened, I don't even know if I would be here today, honestly, the route I was going and what I was doing. And it's sad, but to all those athletes that are listening, look, man, don't allow people and don't allow things to keep you off track. Get around people that love you. When somebody can say, nah, bro, make this decision, and they really in your corner, they're not going to be yes men. They're about you becoming a better person, a better man. And so, nah, brother, I'm with you on that. That was huge, man. You're right, man. Forgiveness is huge, brother.
And so, you transitioned to becoming a head football coach. You started your career in the middle of a pandemic, right? And so, I read an article where you didn't get a chance to really interact with the players, and it was a very different sort of world. But you, like you said, you are adaptable. You're somebody that is able to work your way through difficulties. And so, as the head coach of Park Vista Community High School right now, where do you see your program headed? What's your vision for the program? I see you shouting out your players. trying to get them visibility, you know, bigging them up and giving them the love that they need. But where do you see your program going? Where do you see yourself going in the future as a head coach?
While I'm at Park Vista, the vision is to build this program where not only we're putting athletes in college, but we're also helping athletes develop as students. That's one of the biggest things. And then the really big caveat for us is, what type of men are we developing? We do a lot of character development in our young men, teaching them about life and how important it is to make decisions, and that your decisions you make are not based on just you, but they're based on people around you and people that you're influencing and those who you're taking care of. Because I believe that when we inform a young man of who he is and we give him that direction, it will begin to not only affect his family, but it'll start affecting his play, and it'll start affecting his schoolwork. And when you have all those come together, I think that helps a young man become successful. And when you build these young men up the right way, it catapults them into a future of success. Not saying they're not going to experience different things, but when you teach them about integrity, honor, character, and respect, I think those are the foundational pillars for a person who does face adversity. They're able to deal with it and confront it by having those pillars in their life. And so my vision is to be able to build a program big enough to house these athletes and to teach them and to inspire them, and eventually have them become great players, and great men in the community, and come back and to affect the change of those who can't get the same programs there. So I'm excited, man. Right now, we're doing really well. We started off really good. We're 5-0, and that's just taking over the program in May. And so I'm very fortunate. And I thank the Lord for this great opportunity. And we're playing one of the biggest games for us, for me as a coach this weekend, which I'm super excited about, against Palm Beach Central. So, they're 5-0. They're like number 4 in the state, and I think we're like, 100th in the state, whatever. But I'm looking forward to this great opportunity, man, to compete.
One of the things that I really love about football is that anything can happen on any given game day, right? And so that number 4 team in the state can absolutely fall to number 100, man. If y'all give the effort, y'all have the right scheme, and you can continue to adjust throughout the game. I got faith in y'all, man. I'm rooting for you all the way out here in Philly.
Man. Yes, sir. I feel it. I hear you. I love Philly, baby.
Yes, sir. And so, Coach, you really have walked us through your history, right? Like your pathway to where you are. You've spoken to us about where you envision this going in the future. But realistically, I mean, what keeps you pushing? What's your intrinsic why, right? Like, why have you become the man that you are? At 28 years old, you suffered a setback that a lot of people may never face. And it meant the end of one thing, but the beginning of something else. But you didn't have to become who you are, right? You didn't have to get over it. You didn't have to forgive yourself. You didn't have to have that awakening moment. And so what keeps you pushing? What's your motivation?
My calling as a man of God. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And he's been the most important thing to me, especially at this point in my life, that I've realized of why I'm doing. I believe that the Lord has me here, man, to be able to speak life into people, to share him with people. And there's a verse, man, that really set me free on a lot of different things. It's Matthew 16:24-26. And he gives us 3 things that we do: deny ourselves, take up our cross, and follow him. And when you deny yourself, that means the way you think, how you've been raised, and it makes you come into a different mindset when you do. And me getting to that mindset and honoring him in everything that I do is my drive. I want young men to be great. I want every person, like my heart. And I think a lot of people need to understand this. Jesus' heart is for every man to be saved and to be great and to make it. And that's my heart, man. I want every young man to be great. I want every young woman to be great. I want them to achieve and reach their max. And especially when they're told that they can't. That's also been a part of my story. People telling me I can't do this, and you'll never make this. And man, that is my drive, is to take the person or take the person who's been told you can't and help them see how valuable they are. Because that's what our Lord and Savior does on a day-to-day basis to people. You're valuable. No matter what people say, you're valuable. You are somebody. You mean something to this world, and you add something to this world. And I need all of my kids, all of my players, all of my coaches. I need them to understand the reason why we're successful is because you add value to what we do. And as a world, if we don't understand how much value we add to this world and how much we can make a difference in people's lives, man, we end up in this tumbling effect of things falling apart. And so that is my why. That is why I go so hard. That is why I'm so focused and determined, because I want every kid to know, not only are you special, not only are you gifted, and not only are you're awesome, but you can actually achieve your goals, and it can happen in this life, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time to do so. That is my why, and that's why I do what I do.
Listen, and I know you don't struggle for any motivational speeches, man, because you got me over here about to run through a whole wall, brother. I'm ready to strap the helmet on and go for 100 real quick.
Let's go, baby. Let's get it. Let's go, man.
But no, you and something that you mentioned about wanting to create men, right? And not just football, but academics. I love that. And I think that that's a challenge that I wish more coaches took on. It's not about just getting the kids placed in D1 programs. It's about what kind of person are you creating, right? And you said it at the end. Are they going to come back and invest in their community? Are they going to come back are they going to graduate, right? Like, are we going to get these kids to graduate and walk away with a degree? And so some sort of culmination moment, because everybody can't turn pro. And even if you do, your pro career on average is 2 to 3 years, right? And so what are the things that we're instilling in these young men that'll allow them to come back and be a beacon of light, much like yourself, for other young men that are looking to aspire something similar? And so, Coach, man, I love your story. I really appreciate you as a person, and the fact that like you've done so much work to become someone that is a role model, and turned around and look at your life and use those examples. Like you said, you don't want to take all the things that you learn to the grave without teaching other people. And, that's the tag for the show is each one teach one, we all learn together. Without us iron sharpening iron, without us teaching each other how to become better, what are we here for? What are we doing this for, right? And so, I really do appreciate you, Coach. And as we get to the end, I just wanted to make sure I shared that appreciation with you. And so what are your motivational thoughts for the people? I think that really this whole podcast has been motivational, but 2 to 3 minutes, if a person only hears this piece of the podcast, what do you want people to walk away from this show, this episode, realizing about you and your story?
Is that literally anything is possible. If you put your mind to it and understand that, we all face different problems. We all face different situations in our lives, but it's about how you bounce back, and it's about how you face those things. And it's about understanding that, I can do it. And so if I, the encouragement that I would give to all of them, man, is keep striving and keep pushing and get to know your why, get to know who you are, and keep pushing through it. And as they say no, allow your faith to say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, and speak those things that are not as though they were, and keep pushing until you reach where you need to go.
Absolutely. And so, Coach, what are some of the things that you have read or currently reading, or what's something that you listen to, watch on TV? What's something that brings you joy?
Well, for me, of course, I'm going to read the Word of God. I'm going to read my Bible. Of course, that's my number one inspiration. I got to, man. But I would have to say, man, one of the people that I really enjoy listening to is Les Brown. I actually had a chance to meet him. Just inspirational, really good man. But Les really, gives a lot of motivational speeches that are so true and so real. And so practical, and I think that's one of the things that draws me to him. Pastor Michael Todd, I think he does a really good job of making life practical. So people are looking for somebody to listen to that's more on the spiritual side of things and motivational. He's really good. And then as far as the spiritual side, Dr. Tony Evans. I love listening to his wisdom. It's nothing wrong with the old people. See, people try to push old people aside. I think that's jacked up. You can't push the old people aside, man. They got all this wisdom and they got this understanding, and so we need some of that. So I try to balance it out. And then, man, I listen to a lot of instrumentals, music where I can calm and relax, because I think life gets so busy nowadays that people never have an opportunity to just calm down and really appreciate where they are in life, or see where they are in life, or really, be grateful that, man, I got a son who's healthy, or I got a home that I actually can live into. I got a room and a bed, man, I got food in my refrigerator. I got a vehicle that I can drive. I got a bike. I can ride. I mean, take a moment. And this is for anybody out there, man. Don't go throughout your day rushing and hustle and bustle. I believe the busyness is the actual distraction. Be grateful for where you are and think about what's happening around you and how peaceful it can be. And then get on about your day, but take some time.
1,000%, that. And that moment of gratitude is also what I've realized is gratitude to God for what you mentioned, right? The fact that I
Absolutely.
have these things, this house,
Absolutely.
especially in this pandemic, COVID, flipped everything
Absolutely.
on its head. And I think, people
Yeah,
need to give gratitude. If you're healthy, if you're in a house, if you have a home still, family around you,
that's,
you didn't lose your job, you weren't adversely affected necessarily by COVID
that's right.
outside of just some of the, inconveniences of not being able to go to a restaurant, but there are people that
That's
literally
right.
lost everything, right? And so
That's
take
right.
those
That's
moments to be gracious and show gratitude. That's something that I'm working on a lot more, and I try to dedicate my mornings to, is just taking a
yeah,
few minutes, like you said, throughout the day, just show
that's it.
gratitude, because it's
That's it, man.
important, man. And I've learned when you don't, oh, God will start taking stuff away. It's like, oh, you don't need it. Oh, you don't appreciate it. All right, I'll take
I'm
that
gonna
back.
take this to somebody who
Right,
need that.
exactly. Somebody
But
that's
you know what
showing
I
that
also want to
gratitude.
say in that moment too, Miles, is that look, while you're also being grateful for what you have, pray for those who don't. Let's pray for those families
Absolutely.
who lost members to COVID because they're affected too. Let's pray
Absolutely.
for those people who don't have a place to stay. Let's pray for the kids that have cancer, that are sitting in the hospitals, that have leukemia. That's another huge part. It's not forgetting those people who do need it, who don't have it or can't enjoy some of the things that while we're thinking and focusing on where we are, let's also shift and be grateful and pray for those people who do not have, because they're just as important as we are as well.
Excellent point. And I spent more time praying during COVID for the world and for other people than I did myself, to be quite honest, man. Because
Yeah,
to your point, like you can't forget those that
man,
don't have. That's
that's right.
important as well. And so, Coach, where can people find you on social media? If folks wanted to reach out to you, support your program, just learn more about your players, learn more about the work that you're currently doing. How can people be in contact with you?
Well, you know what? They can always follow me on Twitter at Leonard Weaver. So if you see me on there, it's going to be at Leonard Weaver. It's a picture of me with my bald head out there. Don't follow them; they're liars. Okay, they're trying to impersonate this good-looking, handsome face right here. You can go on Facebook, Coach Leonard Weaver as well. Guys, and then Instagram, the real Leonard Weaver. You can follow me there as well. I try to post, on a consistent basis. I haven't been too good at it, but I definitely will try to give you something inspirational on a day-to-day basis where hopefully it'll help you throughout your week or bless your spirit or even bless your household, hopefully at some point. But you can definitely follow me there. You can also go to look up Park Vista on Google, Park Vista Community High School, to take you right to our webpage, and you can always give in support there. Just make sure you make it out to football, Park Vista football, but we would love the support. And even if you come out to a game, come on out, man. We would love to have you. Come and see our experience. We do have a jacked up goalpost that we're working on, but we promise that hopefully we'll get that fixed real soon. but no, man, I would love it. You guys can reach me there, man. And thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Davis.
Absolutely. And so that's awesome. Definitely follow Coach Weaver. He definitely is inspirational, always sharing great things about just his life, his journey, but also his players, which I love too. And if my wife and I ever down there in your neighborhood, neck of the woods, we're gonna definitely come check a game out, my brother, for sure.
Brother, you have the cell phone, so
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
got the direct connection. So if you text, then you will definitely get a response, and that's my word.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. And so we ran the third lap, Coach. I appreciate you. We made it to the end here. We barely went over just a little bit. So I
All right,
appreciate the
that's my
patience.
fault. We
No,
talkative. That's
man.
what it
Listen,
is.
I'm a talkative dude. You're a talkative dude. So that's what happens, right? We got up here. We had a good time.
That's it.
Any last words that you want to share with the people before we log out?
Let's just pray for our country. Let's pray
Yeah.
for our people here, and love on people, man. Love on people. Don't hold grudges when you see them. Love on them. All right, let's do loving. Let's do more loving and less hating, baby.
Yeah. That's the second slogan for the show, is become lead with love, because it's important that we set the stage with love. And so wholeheartedly agree. Coach Weaver, I appreciate you, man. You will forever live on in Eagles lore as one of the best that we ever had. Play that fullback spot. It's awesome that you also had a chance to retire as an Eagle as well. So
Yeah.
fly Eagles fly, man. You definitely loved it and adored by the whole city. And I'm sure that I'm just excited to see where things go for you in the next part of your life and your career as a head coach. I'm sure that there are so many kids that'll be just impacted positively by you. And, onward and upward as always, man. So I appreciate you. This is another episode of the Third Lab Podcast. I'm your host, Mal Davis, signing out. Each one, teach one. We all learn together. Peace.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Third Lap Podcast. This is your host, Mal Davis. Please visit thethirdlappodcast.com for more information about the podcast, about our guests, and also to see our reading list. You can find us at The Third Lap Podcast on LinkedIn and Facebook, at Third Lap on Twitter, and at third_lap_podcast on Instagram. If you know anyone that would be great to be featured on this show, please reach out to our host, Mal Davis. He's always looking for interesting people to learn more about them and to talk about their pathway. Thank you so much again. Have a good one.